What's up, everyone? Thanks for joining me on these analysis. We're going to be looking at MicroStrategy, Bitcoin, and global liquidity. So the weekly looks very good as we got the bounce off the long-term trend line. We're still in this indecision phase right here. We gapped down today. We had a little swing to the top and then down below. Seems like we filled a tiny gap on the 1 hour or close to it. So we gapped down and we pushed up to try and fill this gap, but we failed and push back down. Expect a lot of volatility with the FOMC meeting. We could get something like this, the same candle but on a larger scale. Maybe we open probably at the same range and maybe we push all the way up, all the way down, and we finish somewhere in the middle. But expect large moves, whether it's a large move to the upside or a large move to the downside, or even if it's in between and we don't move, I expect large moves in probably both directions. Usually it'll fake you out in one direction and then end up finishing in the other direction. And something I do notice too is you might not get the big move on the day of the FOMC. Sometimes it can follow throughout the week. Maybe Thursday, Friday, we get the bigger move to the upside or the downside. So we'll see how it plays out. Of course, we still have the same thought process where we're waiting for a close above this range to retest and push up to that 350. That's one scenario that we're waiting for. The other one is going down to this range, maybe chopping, break down below, retest, and make our way down further. And even if we make one of those moves, we can always come back into this region right here and still compress before we make a larger move to the up or downside. Still remain bullish on MicroStrategy. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of sideways action, but I believe in Bitcoin, so I believe in MicroStrategy. Seasonality of Bitcoin is still intact. The unemployment has been coming back good. Inflation's been cooling more than expected, so I don't think there's anything to worry about yet. So let's see how it turns out. I'm still excited for this year. I think it's still going to be a good year. I think they're wiping out some of the weak hands before a move up. These could be buying opportunities, not financial advice. MicroStrategy is a very heavily leveraged play. It's not for everybody. Not everybody can stomach the volatility, so I wouldn't advise that you buy it unless you can stomach that volatility. But like I said, it's not financial advice. You make your own decisions based off of your research. Don't just listen to me, listen to other people as well, and take what everybody has to say and compile your own thoughts before you make a decision. But it would be nice to see a large candle right here, since we have a clean candle here, and run back up and get a V-shaped recovery here on the weekly on Bitcoin. And then we have to meet this trend line that's been pushing downward. We have to crack that and move on up to that 94,000 region and continue our way up. That's our next obstacle right here, 93 to 92. We need to break that. And then we're going to look at global liquidity and how it ties to Bitcoin. It's not exact, but it's definitely pretty close where you can see how they're correlated. Global liquidity seems to be a leading indicator for Bitcoin. So you can see global liquidity has been rallying ridiculously, but Bitcoin hasn't gone anywhere. And it's been 11 weeks or 70 days. So we're on the weekly, so it's going to be a rough estimate. But you can see it's been a leading indicator for some time. It's not always a leading indicator. Sometimes they move together, sometimes one will lead, but you can see. So we saw one example right here. So Bitcoin started to drop about 14 weeks after global liquidity started to drop. You can see that was the start of our downfall. I mean, we kind of had like a double top and then continue down, but this was the start of the move, and then you can see we just started getting weak from there. Same thing here. We found our bottom on global liquidity, and about 11 weeks later, Bitcoin started moving up, starting from this one. And the same thing here. We could use this top and measure it out and say 9 bars, or we can go from this one and say 5 bars, or we can go all the way over here and say 91 days, 13 bars. You can see that they're highly correlated. Not exact, but it's just a guideline. That's all these things are, guidelines. But you can see here, Bitcoin kind of led this time, or they kind of moved together on this instance. But it's not foolproof completely, but it definitely gives you an idea of what could happen. You can see a double bottom here on global liquidity. It started running up, and then you can see right after 10, 11, 12 weeks roughly in that region, you started getting that move up on Bitcoin after global liquidity. So we're just trying to tie things together and have an idea of what could come. But since I see this move here, it definitely makes me think, are we getting close to that time where global liquidity bottomed here, and we're on week 11. So what, maybe we get week 12, week 13, 91 days, and then start moving up? It just makes you wonder. And then on top of that, gold has been rallying as well, which is also tied in with Bitcoin. Not as closely related as global liquidity, but they usually run together. You can see that ahead of Bitcoin, about 77 to 84 days. And then when we got this little move here, this top in gold, this temporary top where we got a fall off, you can see, you measure it out to this top here of this wick, we started to fall about 8 weeks or 56 days later. And then if you take this rally, the start of this rally, this bottom here, and you measure it out, so we're going to move it down, and we're going to move it over to what we say the bottom is for Bitcoin. It was about 9 bars or 63 days, and then Bitcoin started to make its move up. So as you can see, this is also a leading indicator. We have 2 indicators showing the same thing that's occurring. We still take into consideration drops and continuing down further because we know that that's a possibility. But this is contributing to our bullish bias, and along with Bitcoin seasonality, the fear and greed index, seeing it so low at extreme fear for a couple weeks now, that kind of lets you know that this is probably the opportunity to buy. They want to shake you out. They want you to get worried and fearful. That's what the stock market's all about. Once you can understand the psychology of it, you can really make some good money. You just have to get past the psychological aspect of it. Yeah, I just wanted to show that to you guys and zoom out, show you guys that things look good still. Yeah, we had our first bull flag. We have our second one here. So I think things are still looking good. We're still holding the channel. So I'm still optimistic. Let's hope we hold this level, and the next move is to this midline and to this upper part of the channel. And the same thing goes back to measuring it out, which we can go to show. When you measure this move, it almost gives you, that flagpole gave you the next leg up, almost pretty much spot on, and then you take the next leg up. So that's what I'm seeing right now. I still remain bullish no matter what happens in the FOMC right now. Hopefully the Fed starts to increase their balance sheet, or at least stop reducing their balance sheet. So that shows we're taking steps towards QE, which is quantitative easing, which is stimulating the economy and pumping the economy. So we can eventually get that meme craze, altcoin season, and everything that you pick goes up. So hopefully we can get a 2021 repeat where you can literally close your eyes, throw a dart at the board, and pick that stock, and it goes up 100, 200%. So hopefully we get a time like that again, but we need QE to start. So it all starts with the Fed. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.